It's 10 o'clock, and this is Fox 10 Talks. We have a story coming in about a high-rise inferno. This building catches fire overseas, and a number of people are dead, several others injured. There were reports over the last few hours of a lot of people trapped in the building, if you can imagine being trapped in a situation like that. It is going to be one of our top stories this morning. We are going to get you the very latest. This is Fox 10 Talks. I'm Ron Hoon. Syleste is going to be joining us here in a few minutes. We're also going to be talking about there was a shooting, an officer-involved shooting in Peoria. Turns out that there was a report of a stolen U-Haul early this morning. And from what we're learning about that is coming up. We also have, coming up later this hour, the author of a book called The Last Book Written by a Human, Becoming Wise in the Age of AI. And they're practicing for the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, and they're doing it in the rain. Let's hope the rain moves on before the big parade tomorrow. But let's get to our top story right now, and it has to do with these images coming in and the latest on what we're learning, where the reports are now that 13 people, they can confirm, died in a fire that somehow caught in this high-rise building. This is overseas in Hong Kong, and it started to spread. This is the part that's, to me, is somewhat mysterious because it spread to other buildings in a housing complex in Hong Kong. If you've ever been over there, I went several years ago, and I mean, it's fascinating. They must have, I don't know, they have hundreds and hundreds of high-rise buildings in that Hong Kong area. But as you leave Hong Kong and go north across the border into mainland China, which now actually isn't much of a border anymore, into the city of Shenzhen. This is where that happened in what's called the Tai Po district. But 9 people declared dead at the scene. 4 others sent to the hospital who died there. Many others were injured. At last report, somewhere between 15 and 20 people reported injured. And at this point, they just don't know how many other potentially bodies they might find once they're able to get into the buildings. But why would it have burned not just one building, but other high-rise buildings in the complex? By the way, so the video comes in, and you can see, I mean, I have seen images of people just crying their eyes out as they realize their homes have burned up. And 13. Yeah, we are confirming 13 dead so far in this high-rise fire. So apparently there was some work being done, and part of the reason it spread was because they had bamboo scaffolding and construction netting. And so this complex was massive. 8 buildings, 2,000 apartments, and really like a city unto itself with 40. And look at this wider view right there. That gives you a kind of a better view of how these different buildings caught fire. So it started in the middle of the afternoon. They went to the highest level they could, which was a 4-alarm fire. And, they've had probably every firefighter within many, many miles get out there to do what they could to try to fight this thing. But boy, it looks like it literally, if you're a little bit older, you might remember in the early era of disaster movies, not too many years removed when Jaws first came out, there was a movie called Towering Inferno. Or maybe you've seen it in the years since, but, it just raised the prospect of what would happen in a situation just like this. And frankly, it's a little surprising that the loss of life wasn't even greater. So we will continue to monitor that story for you as it unfolds coming in from the other side of the world, from Hong Kong. You hope we never see something quite like that here in our part of the world, but heartbreaking for the folks there in that part of China. Now, we also have another story that we have been following for you since we first went on the air this morning. Our Irene Snyder out there in Peoria after reports of an officer-involved shooting. Now, here is what Irene had to report to us just a little while ago this morning.
Good morning, guys. The shooting call came out around 3:30 this morning. As you can see behind me, it's still a very much active scene out here today. So we did get an update from the Peoria Police Department. They confirmed it was an officer-involved shooting. You can see the scene again. It's still very active. We have several police cars, crime investigative unit out here as well. We've seen detectives combing through the scene, evidence markers out here this morning. But what they did confirm is that the suspect, it was originally a traffic stop. A license plate reader did flag down a stolen U-Haul truck, and then as part of a traffic stop they were able to get the suspect. The suspect took off on foot, and then they ran after that suspect. The police investigator sergeant we spoke with this morning, she explains more as far as what led up to that shooting today.
He is in stable condition now. Initially he was transported by ambulance. Officers did provide life-saving efforts on scene prior to medical personnel.
And you can see detectives are still out here on scene. And according to that sergeant we spoke to this morning, she said that the suspect in this case got out of the vehicle, started running down here from where the car was parked in a mobile home park, ran down here to Peoria Avenue, where we're at right now. Both directions closed down at this point. They said the suspect, a man in his 30s, produced a gun, and that is when the two officers here on scene fired. At least one gunshot was fired. They weren't able to confirm where the man was shot. He originally was taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries, but as you just heard from the sergeant, he is now in stable condition, expected to be all right. There is no threat to the community at this point. And according to the police sergeant, she did say that, again, no threat to the community. The suspect is expected to be okay. And the good news in this case is no officers were injured. But again, for your morning commute, as I'm sure Anita will mention too, both directions are closed down at this point. So make sure to keep that in mind if you're driving in this direction. But for now, we'll send it back to you guys.
Okay, so that was her report at 8 o'clock. I believe they've managed now to start to get those roads reopened. But it was interesting because there was more to learn in that news conference. So let's take you there and see what else we can learn about what happened on a violent night in the streets in that part of the valley.
Earlier this evening, we received a flock hit, which is a license plate reader for a stolen vehicle in the area of 75th and Peoria. Officers converged in the area looking for the vehicle. Officers located the vehicle. A traffic stop was completed. Passenger fled the vehicle and ran. Once the subject ran from the vehicle, the officers located him near us here at 89th and Peoria, near an O'Reilly's store. When they made contact with the subject, he produced a firearm, and the officers fired at least one round. He is not in ICU. He's actually out of ICU now and in stable condition.
All right. So then, let me go back to the, we've got the video there. So it happened, and then we learned it was a U-Haul, and they got these license plate readers, Celeste. It's really interesting. And apparently they got a hit that it was stolen. And so that's an opportunity for police to jump into action. Reportedly, That's what happened.
That's crazy.
Yes.
We've had a couple of different car fires on the freeway in the last several days.
Yes.
It's crazy when you look at that and you're thinking, how are the people doing inside, or how does
oh gosh, yes.
in the middle of summer, like sometimes it's a little not to say expected, but likely because it's so hot here.
Sure.
In the summer, your car might overheat or something like that.
Exactly.
But during these cooler temperatures, you always think, okay, there's got to be something else going on.
Okay, so that was, as you can see, it was pretty late last night, almost 11 o'clock. That's a quarter to 11 p.m. with the timestamp in the upper right, but it shut down traffic there. What you have there is the 303 coming around the bend, just about to connect with the I-17. Looks like at that, close to the midnight hour.
Look at that.
Yeah, and so it does seem unusual. 2 nights in a row now, we've had these blazing car fires, and you're exactly right. Engines overheat in this city a lot in the summertime, and we cover a lot of these fires, but just different and kind of unique that on the coldest days of the year so far, we've dealt with this situation one night there at the 17 where it connects with the 303. So those are those pictures. And then this was the night before. So this is, as you can see, on the 24th, and this thing really was ablaze out there on the 51 at about 32nd Street. And so, firefighters, they get out there as fast as they can, but it is a little frightening when you consider you get out of that vehicle. Once it catches fire, it doesn't take long. I mean, you've got fuel to burn and everything else before you got a big blaze on your hand.
Yeah, no kidding. And I think for a lot of fire crews, it's interesting now with the electric vehicles that we have out on the roadways. I think a lot of firefighters, it's rare that they know, obviously, just in the day-to-day job, what they're going to walk up on.
Yes, right.
And now with a lot of these car fires, if it happens to be an electric vehicle, they can burn for a considerable amount of time.
Yeah, remember that we had a parking lot filled with them. I think it was summer before last. And it took forever to get them all knocked down.
And there's like a certain way now. Crews have actually been specifically trained to put out fires with electric vehicles because there's a different way they have to fight the fire.
Yeah, good point there. So anyway,
wow, look at that.
We don't know if there's probably zero coincidence whatsoever, other than the fact that in the middle of the night, we've had this happen on nights that you shouldn't expect to see engines overheating, but most of the time that's really what begins these fires. So it's just one more reminder for all of us motorists to, just make sure all the levels, the fuel levels and the fluid levels are running about the way
so.
they
Do you
should.
check your fluid levels, Ron, when you're going on road trips?
Actually, not really.
Do you check your tire pressure?
If I go on a long road trip, I will rent a car, and I'm just assuming that Avis or Budget or whoever, that they took care of all that.
I usually ask if I rent a car, if they have a car that has, what's the one with the least amount of miles?
Oh, do you ask for that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I want to make sure the tires are in tip-top
There you
shape.
go. More tips from Syleste coming up on what to do next time you rent a car.
Tire tips.
This could be a whole new segment. Mystery Cam. I don't think it's Tucson today.
Maybe Tonopah.
Give us your guesses.
All right, welcome back, everyone. You are looking live at our mystery camera. This is one beautiful, snowy, popular, amazing place somewhere in our great country of ours here in America. There's a couple of things, if you wanted to look at like landmarks, and many of you in the chat are sharing your thoughts on where this could be. We have Darla Nickel with Wisconsin. We have a New Mexico from Brandy the Bookworm. And we want to say a good morning to Darla Nickel 93's mother. Her name is Diane, and she is joining us in the chat this morning. The two ladies are hanging together while they're watching Fox 10 Talks on the stream this morning. Michigan from Louis Gonzalez, and Wyoming from a B. Miguel. And Darla Nichols says, Donovan says Flagstaff. She says Wisconsin. So we have a couple of different great ideas. Ron, I was wondering, it looks like a greenhouse of some sort off to the right, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Or is it like a barn?
But they forgot to double check the roof on it, Celeste.
I know.
I'm afraid it's not very green in there anymore.
Where is this? The very snowy location.
Yeah. All right. Well, so I guess they've been getting a lot of snow up in the Minnesota and Wisconsin areas, and Iowa, that kind of a thing. I think I'm going to go Minnesota.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think we're changing the chat up for you. I know the chat on the screen was a little bit different. So I believe Bella may be working on that. Hey, sister. Okay. So you're going to go with what, Ron? Minnesota?
Minnesota.
I'll go with Indiana.
Indiana. Okay, Celeste.
And here is your mystery camera.
Yeah.
Oh, this is DeWinton, Alberta.
Oh,
so
for goodness sakes.
Actually, it's not in America.
Yeah. Well, we need to remember we have Canadian cameras.
We do.
Yes. Oh, Canada.
Canada.
I grew up only about a 2-hour drive south of Canada. I love Canada.
Yeah. So what do you love about it?
The cities are really amazing.
Yeah.
Victoria, I feel like it's more British than going to London.
Wow.
Victoria. And you have to take a ferry to get out there, and the island is beautiful. Vancouver is just like, I can't even believe they wedged a city in there because the cliffs and the mountains go like thousands of feet high right on the edge of town.
Vancouver is such a metropolitan mecca.
It's a megalopolis.
Like, you have didn't we have what were the Olympics there at one point? Where were they? I don't know.
Calgary. Oh, wait, no.
Was it?
Calgary had them.
Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
I remember I've been to Vancouver once. I remember walking off to the water, and they have almost like a Saks or like a Fifth Avenue, like all the fancy shops.
Okay.
I just window shop though, Ron. That's way out of my price range.
I was looking around for a Walmart and I was struggling. But Renee and we honeymooned there, so maybe that's why I like it so much.
In Vancouver.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
but also
so great.
Victoria.
Victoria.
I mean, both cities are great.
So great, Ron.
Okay, so anyway, there you go. Thank you for playing along, Celeste. The controversy. Now, walk me through this one. So it's the whole box cutter controversy.
Okay.
We have some new information regarding this video right here. Newly released shows a woman walking into the school, Maryvale High School, just days after a student had been attacked. And State Representative Lydia Hernandez had a box cutter. Now, obviously, I think she was out there trying to test the system, trying to make sure it was really working.
Right.
And so she was with another woman, and it did trigger the advanced weapon detection system as it should have. And so the Phoenix Union High School District originally claimed the woman with her was her daughter, Cassandra, but now the district is apologizing. So that, I think, should sort of be the end of the story. However, they're now asking for the public's help identifying the woman in the video. Does it seem to you like, look, the system worked. Everybody, I think, was concerned about how a student could have gotten either a knife or a box cutter or anything in there just days earlier.
Yeah.
And somebody who lives right in that area and may or may not have had connections with kids going to the school.
Right.
Wanted to test it. It's a state official, a lawmaker. I guess maybe the controversy is, didn't give the heads up ahead of time.
That's what they were mad about.
Yeah.
That because they did not know it was happening. But I guess that's the purpose of testing the system, right? You know what was interesting when this first story first broke, Ron, was you would think that the metal detectors would catch something like that.
Gosh,
Like when you look at something like that, it has metal in it.
Yeah.
Apparently, what we learned during the investigation is that you can adjust the computer system, like you can adjust the security,
of it, the sensitivity.
The sensitivity. Thank you. You can adjust that with a computer, and so maybe the computer it was not set to that level of sensitivity to catch the box cutter. It was more like set to catch like a gun or something like that.
So here's what I know: if I lived in that area, I would have been relieved to know that someone at that level, at the state level, that the system worked, and that somebody went in and tried it out, and then so they're end of story.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, now they're asking for the public's help, so I don't know how long that whole story is going to be.
Fortunately, it was found.
On. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we always like to talk politics on this particular show of ours, Fox 10 Talks.
Particular.
Yeah. So this is very interesting because Erica Kirk, a lot of people, of course, are paying attention. Oh, here's when she introduced J.D. Vance. This is up on the stage there at the university down in the South. I think it was Mississippi where this event happened. And boy, you turned and looked at the crowd, and she has talked about the closeness that she and Charlie had to J.D. Vance, and that she has even said that J.D. had, or that her husband had said he felt like J.D. might someday kind of carry forward the message that Charlie Kirk was trying to carry.
Well, and I believe it was, and Charlie Kirk mentioned this, and so did President Trump, as did J.D. Vance, after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, that it was Charlie who kind of leaned into the president's ear and said, hey, I know you're looking for a VP. Have you heard of this guy? His name's J.D. Vance. So I believe Charlie and J.D. were friends or acquaintances before in a different, maybe met in a different setting other than politics. And Charlie Kirk is credited with maybe like whispering JD's name in the ear of President Trump.
Celeste, really interesting. Well, so she was on the Megyn Kelly show, which is a podcast that gets, I think, like 1 million views a day.
Yeah, it does. You're
very popular. And she did say, the quote was that for Turning Point USA, they've been shown to be so powerful in the conservative movement that people, I think, are wondering, okay, what'll be the next steps for this huge Valley-based organization? And when she's talking to Megyn, she said that plans are already, quote, in the works to support a J.D. Vance 2028 presidential run. And so it makes, I think, and by the way, Big D's off for a few days, but we've got Isabella.
Yes, we do.
She is it's amazing. She can do everything. She helps put the show together. She can come up with comments on your reactions to the poll questions, and actually put the poll question right there online for you guys to vote. If you haven't grabbed the QR code yet, we would love to know your opinion. I didn't get a chance this morning on the 9 a.m. hour to roll it out, and that always helps because this is really the first chance most of you have even had to see it. So we're going to watch these numbers move around probably in the next 15 or 20 seconds. See, there they go. Erica Kirk says plans are in the works to back J.D. Vance in 28. What's your take? 46% say good. He's the obvious choice to lead the GOP next. Too early. You got 12% saying there are going to be a lot of good Republicans. I mean, you look at the polls, and there's plenty of support out there for Marco Rubio and some of the other, kind of young voices in the party, including like a Vivek Ramaswamy and others. So then 3% say doesn't matter. I would like an AOC or a Mamdani. It's time for real change, and clearly they would represent that. And then 41% are saying, I think I want to vote for a more traditional Democrat like Pete Buttigieg or Gavin Newsom or Kamala Harris. So interesting, just kind of seeing where these votes are coming down. Right there, you saw that number drop just a little bit to 39%, and that's the QR code poll. Celeste, what are you seeing?
So on YouTube, and to kind of wrap up what you just mentioned, Ron, we had our legal eagle in, Josh Colesrud yesterday.
Yes, Josh.
And we were talking about Mark Kelly and the ad with the Democrats.
Right.
He actually thinks Mark Kelly could be added to that list of Democrats who could potentially run for president.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, remember that? And he said, maybe this was his way of trying to jump in and to support this particular cause because he wants to make it on the stage with all those other potential Democrats.
I'll just tell you that interview. I mean, we really value his opinion, but he was saying he really thinks, for those of you who didn't catch it yesterday, that Mark Kelly could really be in some legal jeopardy here. Because of the way the chain of command is supposed to work. If you are a member of the Senate or the House, you don't try to go around the chain of command. You talk to the defense secretary,
yes,
or the Joint Chiefs of Staff,
because he was a Navy captain.
Yeah, and we have our poll question. We were asking, do you think it went too far? Does it create any kind of sense of doubt in the troops' minds? Yeah. Anyway, so YouTube, what are you seeing?
So Erica Kirk says plans are in the works to back J.D. Vance in 2028. 673 votes. I know it's kind of teeny right there, but I'll read it off for you. 41% say good. He's the obvious choice to lead the GOP next. Okay. 15% say it's too early. 18% say, you know what, doesn't matter. 27% say I want a more traditional Dem like Buttigieg, Newsom, or Harris, or even potentially Mark Kelly. That's what I was saying. He could potentially make it up there on the stage with those other potential candidates on the Democratic side. So 673 votes as of right now on YouTube.
All right, let's go to Bella.
Hey, Bells. Good morning.
I think you've got some comments. What are you seeing?
Yes, last I refreshed, there was nearly 50 comments, so I had some trouble trying to pick just a few to share, but the comments were all across the board. I'll read a few. One from Miss Deanna Ember says JD is an obvious choice. However, even if he isn't, there are plenty of strong Republican candidates this time. Another from Gail Hicks T9V says I'll never vote Republican again, no matter who's running or for what office. Scar Kasker says AOC is the strongest. Bookishly Bohemian says I don't care what that lady says. Doesn't she have children to take care of and a husband to grieve? ? We need an uncompromised true progressive leader for POTUS who will help right the ship and stop being a for now president.
What was that person's name on YouTube? That last one there.
Bookishly Bohemian.
Bookishly Bohemian.
Wow.
I like that name, Celeste.
I wonder if they have like a bohemian setup in their home, like it's very worldly, like World Market, Cost Plus.
A lot of books. Thank you, Bella. We'll be right back. Yeah, I get the feeling it's trying to snow in that picture from the North Country. To me, it looks like it's probably somewhere out there on the Great Lakes. And so we welcome you back to more of Fox 10 Talks. Now, the opposite of the Great Lakes would be beautiful Yuma, Arizona.
Yeah.
Celeste, I know you love Yuma because your daughter's down there going to college.
Yes, she is. And I do like Yuma because they have got great restaurants.
Yeah, they do.
Some cool coffee shops.
Yeah.
And you're 2 hours from San Diego.
Hey, so we ran the story. There are somewhere between about 400,000 and 500,000 members of the LDS Church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Arizona. And the first temple was in Mesa. And they've just announced one for Yuma, and they just released this drawing, I believe, yesterday. And so this will be temple number 7, and it's going to be built on about 7 acres out there in that corner of our state. And it looks like, I know when they built the temple in Tucson, they really gave it a...
like a southwestern feel?
Yeah, almost like an old Mexico feel.
Like a mission, like an old Mexican mission.
Yeah. Now, you could, I think, would get a lot of folks who say the Gilbert Temple is the most beautiful temple in the church.
I think it's gorgeous.
So,
and who's this handsome young man?
This is my grandson, Everett.
My goodness, he is so cute.
Oh, I'm telling you. So he got baptized about a week or so ago, and his mom and dad took him down there to the temple to get that picture taken.
Wonderful.
And he looked like $1 million. And he's such a little man right here. Look at this one right here.
Look at his hands in his pockets, the whole thing.
I'm trying to, there we go. There we go. Look at that.
Oh, this is the one I think Renee posted I like. Yeah, he's so cute.
Well, the thing that's kind of cool about it is it's all come full circle because his mom, Alexa, married Austin in that very temple, in the Gilbert Temple. And so here now they've started a family, and Everett's 8 years old. And anyway, we're so proud of him. And yeah, it is a shining star in the desert, that's for sure. So congrats to Yuma, but also way to go, Gilbert, Arizona. That
and
is
congratulations
one
to Everett and your beautiful daughter, Alexa.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so hey, speaking of expanding across the valley, if you haven't been out to Westgate in the last couple of years, you are missing out. Look at what they did last night. They, families come out there, I think, by probably the hundreds, if not thousands. The Grinch was obviously out there, as you can see right there.
That little guy there hanging over the edge.
Yeah, so they had figure skaters doing their thing. They had a chance to meet Santa. By the way, heads up other malls. Free photos with Santa.
Free?
Come on.
Wow. Westgate knows how to do it,
yeah,
right?
They do. Absolutely. Okay, we have a special guest that we want you to stick around for over the next couple of minutes. But first, this story. Hewlett-Packard announced this morning that they are going to cut 10% of their workforce over the next 3 years. The Wall Street Journal is reporting that the tech giant will cut as many as 6,000 jobs by 2028 as the tech industry keeps moving toward AI. Now, this is a real thing. I mean, the layoffs in the tech industry have been almost mind-boggling this year, and you do wonder how much of it is AI and how much kind of what the future looks like. The company, HP, says, 6,000 people are going to lose their jobs over the next 3 years, and they think they'll save $1 billion by doing it.
So let me read off, Ron. This is a couple of other companies who've been laying off.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Examples of companies with recent layoffs in 2025.
All right.
Verizon started laying off 13,000 employees in November.
Yeah.
Amazon cut roughly 14,000 in October. UPS slashed 48,000 positions. Microsoft has made some cuts, but I don't have an exact number here. So is Target. You mentioned HP. Paramount plans to cut about 2,000. Intel has moved to shed thousands of jobs. That has been a number of years in the movement here. GM will lay off 1,700 workers in Michigan and Ohio. And Shopify had a recent layoff, citing the removal of, quote, layers that created complexity.
Well, okay, so this is why we thought not all those job losses are going to be as a result of AI, but we thought this is a perfect opportunity to bring Jeff on. Jeff Birmingham is the author, maybe you've heard of it, The Last Book Written by a Human.
Wow.
Becoming Wise in the Age of AI. Jeff, why did you decide to write this book?
Yeah, it felt like it encapsulates the message for our moment, which is that as our machines become more and more intelligent, we as humans must become more wise.
Okay. So was there a light bulb moment for you where you said, there's a whole book here. I've got some perspective. First of all, why do you think you have some good perspective to share, with book buyers across the country? And was there that moment where you're like, in fact, I'm going to write this book because there is a message people need to know?
Yeah, absolutely. My background is in entrepreneurship. I live in Utah and have started many billion-dollar companies along the Wasatch Front and have invested as a venture capitalist in many of the tech startups along the fast-growing tech corridor in Utah, which is called the Silicon Slopes. So my background is in entrepreneurship. It is in technology. I had a little detour, ran for governor here in the state of Utah in 2020, lost during the pandemic, but it was really run in the summer of 2020 after losing into the governor's race. It was the first time in my adult life, I was 43 years old, where I had space and time. And a lot of us probably can relate with that summer of COVID. And with space and time, anything can be created. And these thoughts about AI and the existential questions that it would cause us to ask just started coming through me. So you asked, why did I write the book? I kind of didn't have a choice. It just felt like it needed to be written and that mine was a voice that could potentially be interested because of my background in technology.
I think it's important you mentioned, and Ron, you're familiar with Salt Lake City, but the Silicon Slopes, that's a real thing. I mean, a lot of those tech companies have now moved to Utah because it's very business-friendly environment. Jeff, what can you give us in terms of tips, living in a life of AI and dealing with some of the changes that we're dealing with, looking ahead maybe to 2026?
Yeah, I'm glad that you've heard of the Silicon Slopes, Celeste. It is a great and part of Utah.
Well, she's a skier. She goes up to the other slopes, the real slopes. But anyway, yeah.
Hey, that's another good reason to come to Utah. The snow, the best snow on earth. Yeah, let me give you just 3 ideas. I talk about these in the last book written by a human. 3 simple ideas, Celeste, for 2026. Number 1, lean into real human relationship. It's easy to spend time with ChatGPT or your favorite AI chatbot, or even with the almighty algorithm of social media, but those aren't real relationships. The beauty is in the mess. So our human relationships aren't in the way, they are the way. So number 1. Number 2, spend time in nature. The more we become disembodied and not connected to the earth, we can lose ourselves. And that is when AI could take over potentially in a nefarious way, when we're not connected with what is real and what is grounding us. So in nature. And the third thing that I would say is a really important idea to remember that this is a crucible that AI presents a crucible, I think, for humanity. It's a way for us to go through together. We transform together. We evolve together. AI is a machine and it's not human. So again, lean into relationships in nature and remember that AI is not embodied. We are embodied. So return to the body, flow activities, breath, meditation, etc. There's some ideas for 2026.
Let's talk specifics for people. Celeste just gave us this long list of people who've lost their jobs in what you might consider old tech, traditional tech. The new jobs are going to be in AI. Well, I've heard a lot of people say, look, don't fear it, embrace it, and figure out how your career can move into that sphere. I was just talking to a family member who had recently been laid off, and that's the big question mark that's out there. If you've been in old tech, how do you position yourself to get a new job in, I guess you could call it new tech or the AI world?
Yeah, it's a great question. Fortunately or not, I think humans often learn through pain. And I think there is a lot of pain coming, and part of that is in disinformation. You guys deal with that on a daily basis. And I think another one is job loss. I've been since losing the governor's race here in Utah, I've been an adjunct professor at BYU in entrepreneurship for thousands of students. And so AI has been a big topic of conversation. Do we keep it out of the classroom? And let me just say, Ron, we can't pretend like this isn't happening. We can't bury our heads in the sand. And I also don't think that fear hardly ever plays a productive role as we go forward. So we do need to embrace AI. A lot of the jobs that will be coming will be humans working with machines to become potentially more efficient, more effective, whatever the case may be. What we can't lose in all of this, though, Ron, is the human touch and creativity.
Yes,
we all have art within us. We all have wisdom that we can bring to the work that we're doing, to our families, whatever the case may be. And so this will be a combination in wisdom and working with machines. So it is something to embrace, and it's something we'll be figuring out here for the next decade or two. This isn't going to be decided next year or tomorrow.
I think you're onto something, Jeff. Where can we find your book, by the way?
Yeah, the book is sold everywhere books are sold: Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, Walmart, and you can follow me. I wrote the last book written by a human to be a conversation starter, and I'm on social media at Jeff Birmingham, kind of wherever you can find us. So I'd love to continue the conversation. And it's good to talk to you guys.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, we'll look for it for sure.
Yeah, Jeff, thank you. We appreciate your time this morning. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
I like that
have
fire.
A great Thanksgiving, guys.
I like that fire in the fireplace right behind. Is that
it's
real?
cold here in Utah.
That's not like a TV, is it? That's actual flames going on there?
That's an actual flame.
Not an AI created flame.
All right, thanks, Jeff.
I think he's on to something here. On my podcast, The Balancing Act, Ron, I interviewed someone who she's mom and she's a business coach, and that is exactly what she's doing. She's teaching these CEOs to lean into being human and to connect with other people, because we're so consumed with technology that sometimes we forget to interact this way instead of connecting this way.
That's why we created this show that totally gets to interact with you guys. Lots of great comments today. A lot of people on, even some new folks too.
Buddha sheep.
Yeah.
Mike Lewis, 21. Brandy the bookworm.
All right, you guys. We'll be right back. Okay, of course you're looking at Green Bay, Wisconsin.
And maybe this is why we feel a little chilly, because it's this image of Green Bay.
I took my dad to a game there about 15 years ago, and I'm so glad I did. But here's a little tip for you. If you're ever going to go, be prepared to pay a bundle at your motels, and they're hard to find. I think these, like just typical like Best Westerns and whatnot, don't be shocked if they would like you to part with, say, $400, $500 a night.
Are you kidding me?
So here's your consumer tip. Stay in Appleton.
Oh, how far is that from?
It's about 45 minutes, but whatever. I think we got a motel there for like $169 a night. Yeah, you guys don't even know this about me, you two ladies, but I'm a little bit tight with adults.
I would have never guessed.
I know you never knew that about me, but we save so much money by staying in Appleton. So if you ever go to a Green Bay Packer game, which I had sort of made that one of those things. My dad and I would just loved football. We could watch football games and just laugh about the bad calls with the refs or the amazing plays that happened. But anyway, stay in Appleton. You'll be glad you did.
Did they have good breakfast at that hotel in Appleton?
We actually went to the IHOP over on the edge of town.
Oh, well, there you go.
Big spender.
And it was a great waffle. I specifically remember that.
Aww.
Okay, so as you can see, Bella joins now.
Hi,
Good morning, Isabella.
Good morning.
By the way,
So cozy.
are all three of us working on Thanksgiving?
Yes.
How about that?
And
That's
dedication.
dedication.
I'm thankful. I'm
I am
thankful for this
too.
job. Right?
Yeah. Well,
I am.
it's
And I'm
good.
thankful for both of you.
Do you ever
I feel
say
the
to
same way.
Do you ever say to yourself, I wish the boss was watching so he would know that we're working on Thanksgiving and we're happy to do so?
Maybe they will be.
It
Happily.
is dedication.
Yes.
Okay, good. I say that to myself all the time. Hey, let's talk just a little bit, you guys, about the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Is this a part of a tradition in your families?
Bells,
Do
you
get up
start,
and watch?
sister.
We don't watch it it's not like we're all sitting on the couch watching it, but my dad definitely turns it on. So it's on in the background where we're hustling around getting ready for Thanksgiving.
Same.
Yes.
It's on while we're picking up the house and getting things ready for Thanksgiving meal and, things like that.
I have no idea because I do feel like I work Thanksgiving pretty much every year. I don't know what happens at the house at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Ron shows up and it's like everything is done. It's like ding.
Now,
Ron, I have to tell you, your wife
perfect.
Renee's amazing.
Renee is amazing, but I'll have a job when I get there. By the way.
Do you have a honeydew list already ready?
No, but she'll be like, you've got the green beans.
Oh, are you going to make green beans?
You've got the sweet potatoes or something. I'll have a job. But we're doing it a little bit different this year. We're going to do a family turkey trot.
Oh, nice.
Including the little kids, the grandkids.
How
So
fun.
is it just you? Are you guys joining a bigger one or creating your own?
Oh, no. It's going to be all us.
All the Hoons.
We're going to go to an undisclosed location in Mesa.
Are you dressing up as the turkey?
No, but my daughter Michelle, it was her idea, and she paid to have shirts. It says
I love it.
Hoon Family Turkey
And
Trot.
Michelle
I'll post
is
some
home.
pictures.
Michelle's home from Salt Lake. Michelle, welcome home.
And she ran her first 10K this year, so now she's all about the running, and she's like, Dad, let's do a turkey trot. So who knows how it's going to go. I got the trophy.
Oh, wow.
For the adult winner and all the ribbons for all of the participants in the youth run.
Category.
How sweet.
Everybody's got a.
So how long is this turkey trot?
That's still to be determined, but I think it's going to be about a mile.
Wow,
I know.
that is a long way for little
Believe me.
Everett who just got baptized.
Yes,
he's going to run a mile.
He'll go a mile. They all will, except Stutterbug. He's 2.5. I don't know.
Let me
We'll
carry
see.
him.
So anyway, it's just it's a good chance to talk a little bit about what we're doing for Thanksgiving. And my question to you guys is, when is the best time to actually eat? Do you have a time that you normally try to do it? I know, Celeste, this was something that you and Ty were talking about.
Yes.
Martha Stewart just gave an interview, and she's had a specific number.
She said 2 p.m.
She said 2.
2 p.m. for Thanksgiving dinner.
But here's the problem. What if you're doing a turkey trot at 1:30?
Yeah, that's not going to happen. I think, so you guys are eating at what time with your turkey trot?
I think, the turkey trot will be at 1:30. I think the food will be probably about 2:30 or 3.
Okay, we're eating at, we're actually doing 2 days. We do something tonight with the larger family.
Oh.
How fun.
With like my aunts and uncles and cousins, and everybody will come over. We'll do that at 5 today.
Okay.
But with
why so late?
MST time.
Oh, today.
Today.
Wow.
Well, because people work and everything, and we have such a big family
Yeah,
that
you
on
do.
Thursday, people like to do things with like their in-laws and other people, and they don't want to be running around.
Yeah.
So we do kind of like a very casual, everybody brings over a dish.
Okay.
Super nice. And I'll do the turkey and mashed potatoes, but it's at 5 p.m. But I say it's MST, that's Mexican Standard Time.
Oh, yeah. So what does that mean is the real time going to be?
It might be 6. But we're going to definitely try for 5.
Oh, my
But
gosh.
on Thanksgiving, I think like a 2 p.m. is perfect.
Okay.
You have football on.
Yeah.
Right? You have everybody there, and you
Right.
can kind of eat and dabble in some snacks.
Sure. Do we have, I think we have the Cowboys game.
We have some big games here on Fox.
I think that's it. Anyway, there are a bunch of games tomorrow, and then don't forget on Friday, ASU, U of A. That's going to be, I think, 6 o'clock? 7 o'clock?
7 o'clock.
Pre-game coverage
And
at
Richard
6.
is going to be there.
Yeah, I know it.
In
It's
his
all great.
RV.
So let's just find out from Bella. So what do you guys, do you have a normal time?
I would say we start eating around 3 to 4.
Okay.
The family.
That's good.
we
All
normally
this feels
host it.
later to me. I'm always
Yeah.
like, let's do it earlier kind of a thing.
When we
but
host it at our house, I think the family comes over 11 to 12.
Okay.
But a lot of people bring appetizers.
Oh, yeah.
So we're snacking on the appetizers
Exactly.
while like my dad's still making the turkey. And I'd say we all gather, pray, and start eating. I'd say 3 to 4-ish.
You bring up a good point. Don't forget to pray.
Don't
Ron.
forget to pray.
Yeah, be thankful for the year before and
Yeah.
thankful for the year to come.
And sometimes people, I think they like to sit around and talk about traditionally what they're grateful for.
Yeah.
It is Thanksgiving.
Maybe politics or religion.
Sure. Sure.
Football.
Start with politics.
Use that as an icebreaker.
We-
See how it goes.
We have the whole spectrum in our family. Okay. But the funny thing is we all know where each other kind of stands, and we all get along just great.
What
It
would-
can be done.
What would happen if everybody wore the T-shirt? Like if they voted for Joe Biden, they wore a Joe Biden shirt to dinner.
Yes.
Or if somebody voted for Kamala Harris or President Trump or
all right.
whoever,
Yep.
they wore that T-shirt to the dinner
That
table.
is so ironic that you bring that up, because the shirt I was going to wear tomorrow is Momdami 2028. So
I think your wife
Kidding
would
about
stop
that,
you at
but-
the door. I actually saw. I actually saw this.
she might be one of the more liberal members of the family.
She might be. You never know.
Yeah.
I watched this this reel on Instagram last night, and it
Okay.
was this scholarship from these college students are trying to create a video, and the Democratic Party is giving away these scholarships.
Oh, nice.
But everybody who's shooting the video, they are Republican families.
Yeah.
So you have a granddaughter sitting next to her grandfather, and she says, this is a scholarship, and I want to introduce you to my grandfather, John, and he's a very independent Democrat. And you see the grandfather, and he's like, you got to be kidding me.
Okay. Well, so they didn't check the party affiliation prior.
But it's a hoax.
yes.
They're tricking the
Oh, that's
grandparents
funny.
into it.
Well, the other thing I was going to say, if you look online, and now with AI, it's all out there everywhere, but you can ask it and say, give us some other topics besides the every year, here's what I'm grateful for.
Yeah.
If you look, there are all kinds of lists out there. Here are 40 other topics to bring up at the
Yes.
Thanksgiving table.
Yes.
Yeah. And so I'm trying to think. One that I saw had to do with tell us about someone else in the family who you've noticed you're becoming a little more like them.
Oh.
Now, how would that would be a real conversation starter, right?
Wouldn't it be great too if like Gary went to my mom and was like, I'm so thankful Celeste is a lot like you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. The points that would be scored there. Holy cow.
10 gold stars.
Yeah.
Oh,
Do you know,
yes.
the story was told, Ronald Reagan was president, but in many, many years beforehand, he always sent roses to his wife's mom.
Wow.
So Nancy, her mom and dad lived here in the valley up at the Arizona Biltmore.
Oh, wow.
They had a
yeah.
home up
Okay,
there. And Dr. Davis, I think it was. Anyway, he always sent flowers to her mother every year on Mother's Day saying, thank you for bringing my bride into the world.
What a
and
sweet.
I thought, boy, that's a smart man right there.
So I looked up everyday and simple joys, things that people are grateful for.
All right.
Unexpected discoveries. Maybe you found money in a pocket, or you got a surprise refund, or you received a compliment from a stranger.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody came up to you at a restaurant and said, I really like your hair, Ron.
Oh, yeah.
Or Bella, I think you're beautiful. You know, a small comforts, fuzzy blankets, the first sip of coffee or tea, and the feeling of the sun on your skin. A little vitamin D.
Okay.
Sensory experiences, puppy breath for all you folks who are watching in the chat.
Oh,
and you
brother.
have
Okay.
little
Now
dogs.
we're getting pretty touchy-feely with the puppy breath chatter.
The smell of rain. In the desert, Ron, the creosote, right, Bells?
Yes, that
Good.
beautiful scent.
Maybe,
Celeste,
maybe
here's
the way music can evoke memories.
How about this? You go to Gary, you say, here's the topic you're assigned. Talk a little bit about the joy of puppy breath. Just see how it goes.
Well, now we go. What's next?
Right.
Everyday necessities. Maybe you're grateful for clean drinking water, electricity, air conditioning.
A roof over your head.
Oh, thank you, Bella. How about this? I think I'm going to bring this one up tomorrow. Tell us somebody new this year that you discovered in the music world that you love their music, and then we could all sit around and share some.
That's a good one.
Because Celeste, you had something that you were posting, right? I think it was you. And I said, whose song is that? I can't play it. But it's by a guy named Napsea, Napsea. And the song is called Life Feels So Good. Yeah. And it's super positive, right? There's not an angry note in it.
To that.
Yeah. Good tune.
So Napsea, Napsea. There you go. That's
kind of like nappy, but napsy.
Yes.
Like when your hair's kind of nappy.
Right.
Mine gets
now. Just make sure when you are handling the turkey, that it doesn't turn out like this. Now, a lot of people like to deep fry, but you better watch out now. Shield your eyes. Phoenix Fire, thank you. Every year they provide us this video as a reminder of the dangers. I've had deep fried turkey. It's amazing. It's kind of crunchy on the outside and so moist on the inside. But if you're going to do it, you got to know exactly what you're doing, because you don't want situations like this.
The deal is it has to be completely thawed.
And I bet you that we will probably have at least one fire tomorrow somewhere. Out of the 5 million of us, somebody will be on the back patio and something went wrong. So just, look it up. Talk to somebody who's more of an expert in the family who's done it before.
And don't do it under your covered patio.
No.
Maybe do it out in the middle of the street.
Sure.
In the middle of the intersection in your neighborhood or something.
Have a
Call
fire
all the neighbors ahead of time to warn them. Yeah, no kidding.
Just so you know.
So coming up next, from right here in Phoenix, not from Green Bay, Ty and Anita on our pre-Thanksgiving show.
Welcome on in, Fox 10 Talks. Fox 10, whatever this is. Fox 10 Talks continues now at 11. We're getting our guests situated here. We've got a lot going on this Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. Everybody's kind of in that holiday mood already, right?
They're in vacation mode. Hello, doctor.
Hi.
We are talking about some very important issues. Thank you. Lung cancer. Mm-hmm. And November is, we have Men's Health Month. Do we see more men being diagnosed with lung cancer?
There's generally more men than women comparatively, just simply because the number one risk factor, smoking, is slightly more common in men, and also occupational choices, work exposures. There is a slight predominance towards men. That is true.
Can we talk a little bit about lung cancer? And maybe, obviously, we hear of smoking is obviously a big one when it comes to lung cancer. Are there any other, I guess, kind of outside contributing factors to lung cancer, or individuals that get lung cancer?
Of course. Smoking is by far the number one risk factor. I think that's pretty well established with everyone. For the relative risk of someone who smokes to develop lung cancer is in the neighborhood of 13 or 14. So that means someone who does choose to smoke is about 13 to 14 times more likely than a non-smoker to develop lung cancers, just generally speaking. But there are other, work-related exposures like asbestos, in older buildings, for instance, people who do work that involves exposure to that. Radon is another one. But smoking by far number one, but it's not. Some people can be non-smokers, and generally certain subtypes of lung cancer are more common in those individuals. I know we're focusing more on men, but in particular, younger Asian women are more likely to get certain subtypes of lung cancer. And we don't know exactly why that is, but that's something we see demographically.
Interesting. I pulled some research this morning. It said 80 to 90% of lung cancer deaths are caused by cigarette smoking, but other risk factors, and I know you mentioned a couple, but secondhand smoke, history of lung cancer, and also, like you mentioned, the exposure to things like chromium or nickel in the workplace. How do you, like secondhand smoke, you can walk away from maybe, but how do you prevent exposure to all of those?
I think it's easier said than done. If secondhand smoke is a big one, that can really add up if there are smokers in the house. Trying to limit exposure in the workplace. And workplace standards have improved. That's undeniable. Smoking rates have gone down precipitously since the 1960s, I believe. But sometimes it's just bad luck, and it's more complex than just environmental exposures. Sure. There's genetic factors, like you mentioned, family history, and sometimes people are just dealt a bad hand, and that's the best answer we can give them sometimes.
Can you talk about, how you treat lung cancer? Because, the lungs are such a delicate organ to begin with. I can only imagine treating lung cancer has to be quite tricky as well. And also screening, if we can add to that. What are we looking for? Are we screening the same way we do, other types of cancers, like breast cancer? They say get a mammogram every year.
Yeah, so those are great questions. Lung cancer, more and more, we are established screening guidelines, especially in smokers, to do low-dose CT scans in people who have prominent smoking history or are even former smokers. Can I interrupt you real quick? Sure. Would you tell those smokers to then go like yearly or even more frequently than a year to get those scans to make sure there's nothing happening? So those are, right now, the current guidelines are annual. Okay. I will preface this by saying that I'm not a primary care doctor, so that's usually something that a primary care doctor would handle. Set up, gotcha. And set up. But yeah, lung cancer now, we do have established screening guidelines for a certain set population. In regards to treatment of lung cancer, it is partially the reason that I enjoy oncology is that it's very much a team-based approach. So that often involves a tumor board setting where we sit down with thoracic surgeons, radiation doctors, pathologists, and radiologists, and we try to look at the guidelines together and tease out a solution that's best for the patient in front of us. There's never a one-size-fits-all approach. It depends on the patient. There are other medical issues. and what makes sense in terms of achieving a cure if it's localized, of course. So we never make decisions on our own, and we do appreciate everyone has their input and their own role to play. Now, in the stage 4 setting, so advanced, that means it is spread beyond the primary organ, and it's not amenable to curative options like surgery or radiation. We tend to, that's where I have a more prominent role as a medical oncologist. The approach is to see if people are candidates for, generally speaking, targeted sort of treatments. So we often do molecular testing first on both the tissue and the blood now to, again, figure out what could be the best treatment option for folks.
When you say targeted, what would that mean? What kind of treatment would that be?
So what I generally tell folks is that there's, broadly speaking, 3 main buckets of treatment options for folks in the advanced setting. Targeted treatments like pill-type treatments that target a specific mutation can often be elucidated on the molecular testing that I'd mentioned. And that's, it's not like they're side effect free, but, generally you can preserve quality of life to a great degree. People just take a pill at home and they just see me every couple of months or something. If people don't have those kind of sensitizing mutations, they may be candidates for immunotherapy alone. Like maybe you've seen commercials for Keytruda or Opdivo. Those are options for certain folks, depending, again, on what their testing shows. And then the last bucket is usually a combination of chemotherapy and immunotherapy, where chemotherapy is the backbone and then immunotherapy is kind of the more nuanced approach that sensitizes the immune system to attack the cancer.
I was going to ask you this, and this might be another difficult question to answer because you mentioned it's not one size fits all, but when you hear the diagnosis of cancer, I know we've talked to some other doctors, and for example, prostate cancer has a pretty good curable rate. When it comes to lung survival rate, when it comes to something like lung cancer, what are we talking about as far as a percentage, or is it just kind of hard to say?
So it entirely depends on the stage. The general principle, and this is true of any cancer, the higher the stage, the lower the chances of a cure. So generally, folks who are stage 4, I never say never, but generally that's not a curable situation. But I always say that it's treatable. It can be very, very treatable, and people can potentially live for years, even with stage 4 disease, as long as it's properly managed and surveilled. Folks with stage 1 lung cancer, for instance, who get surgery and maybe just some treatment after surgery, that is, highly curable. So it's very much a spectrum, and it depends on many different factors.
We're getting some questions from some of our viewers here this morning. Someone is asking, I have a sister who has lung cancer and never smoked, but me as a smoker myself, should I get checked more often? They are saying that they're 60 years old, Louis.
So it sounds like he would be a good candidate for the low-dose CT scan screening that's done annually. I don't know all the demographic information there, of course, but I would encourage him to talk about that with his primary doctor.
Is this one of those, cancers or where if you don't have symptoms and you don't feel bad and you're a smoker, you don't have to worry about it? Or if you're a smoker, go get checked out every year just in case.
Yeah, I would encourage anyone who's...
Or any other exposure.
Yeah. I think this is the key, is prevention is the key, right? So really making sure you see your primary care doctor regularly, have a high index of suspicion. I always tell folks, your body better than anyone else. So if there's something that's out of the ordinary, even if it's just a subtle cough that's persistent, or just a pain that doesn't go away, please, let your doctor know. And, we're talking about men's health issues. I have found that there's a greater reluctance amongst men to kind of seek that help, just because that's just what we do as men, we're just that kind of masculine urge. But that has been borne out statistically as well. So I think if you notice something that's awry, you should say something. That's the most important thing.
Well, Doctor, some great tips here this morning, and it's just a wealth of knowledge. We appreciate you coming on here this morning.
Thanks so much for having me.
Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Have a great Thanksgiving, everyone. Thank you.
It is Wednesday as well. So we wanted to bring Crystal in, one of our favorite guests, to talk about Wednesday weather wisdom. Did I get it right? Wednesday.
Close. You were so close.
Never figure it out.
You know what? I've messed it up on air before.
It is beautiful outside, though. I pulled up that downtown cam so you can kind of get a look out there on this day before Thanksgiving. And we keep talking about it. Obviously, today's the day a lot of folks are traveling.
Yes.
And you said earlier, if you're in the Southwest, thumbs up. Everything's looking real good in the Southwest.
Yeah, the whole Southwest is great. There's like some high clouds and that's it. Temperatures are even going to be really lovely for pretty much everyone in the Southwest. So no issues for anybody driving. We did a poll this morning on AZAM and it looked like, did we talk about this already? And I missed it? Oh, okay.
No. We're agreeing with you.
Well, and it was like 3% or something said they were flying and the rest was either staying home or driving. So everybody's driving should be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have 2 minutes until our commercial break.
Oh, okay.
Do you have time to go through the
Sure,
wisdom to bestow us?
So for people that aren't familiar with this segment, I basically like break down something interesting of late in the weather world, either locally or nationally. So we talked about our rainfall tracker because we obviously got so much rain this past week. And I thought the numbers were just so wild. Between January 1st and August 31st, so the first 8 months of the year, we had only picked up just under 2 inches of rain for those whole 8 months, which put us at almost 3 inches below average for our annual amount of rain at that point. Then from September 1st to just 2 days ago, on November 24th, we picked up 6 1/3 inch of rain, which is now the wettest on record fall, which we discussed a couple of days ago when I was with you guys here on Fox 10 Talks. And then that brought us to our annual total, which is over 8 inches of rain. A normal annual rainfall amount for the valley is 7 1/4 inch of rain, and typically July and August are our wettest months. So A, July and August were not our wettest months this year. B, we are already above our annual average for rain totals, which means that we will officially end 2025 in Phoenix as an above average year, which is exciting because we have not done that in quite some time. This is just some of the locations and their rain totals this year compared to average, guys. And the bright greens you can see, for the most part, Globe, Payson, and Phoenix all above average already. And again, we still have another month and some change before the end of the year. So quite a few locations. Payson at almost 20 inches of precip. Insane. That's both snow melt as well as rain combined together, but really amazing to pick up that much liquid.
That's all good news.
Yeah, it's great. It's awesome to see. I know I got a little bit more, but I think we're about to go to break, so we can tap into it later.
You have 30 seconds.
Oh, well, you want to pop the grab? Yeah. For anybody that's watching in like the Show Low, Prescott, Kingman area or Flagstaff, you can see your totals too. I didn't want you to think I was forgetting you. Flagstaff also at almost 20 inches of combined precip against snow melt and rain. Kingman slightly below average, and then Show Low a little below average as well. But pretty good numbers, guys.
You've been busy year for you.
All right, Crystal, we appreciate it.
Yes.
Have a happy Thanksgiving. We'll see you tomorrow.
Yes, we'll be here
see you
tomorrow.
at noon too.
Yes, we will.
Yeah.
We're not done.
Yep.
And everyone, on this Wednesday, Fox 10 Talks, we have Thursday is Thanksgiving.
Obviously.
Friday is Black Friday shopping. That's when everyone is rushing out to the big box stores.
Yep.
But Saturday, November 29th, is Small Business Saturday.
And it is so important to support our local businesses because all of our tax dollars stay right here. You're helping support these great businesses.
They're employing local people.
100%.
We're keeping local people employed. 22 last year, shoppers spent roughly, this is nationwide, not in Arizona, $22 billion at local businesses.
So we have Sophia here this morning. She is with Local First Arizona, which is a nonprofit. Can you give us a little background about what is Local First Arizona?
Yes, and thank you for having me. So Local First is a nonprofit organization that's building a strong, inclusive, and sustainable Arizona economy. So we support businesses by helping them get access to capital, connecting them with new customers, growing their visibility. And then we have, we help them navigate the challenges of running a business. So we have on-demand learning resources, coaching, and community support.
That is huge that you guys offer all of this for free to these businesses, because I think my mom was a small business owner, not here in Arizona, but I mean, I know the blood, sweat, and literal tears that she put into making her small business try and be successful. It's not easy to start your own business.
Yeah, and my parents are also small business owners as well, so I grew up working in their retail store as well, and being a part of the community is what's kept them in business after 40 years.
Yeah.
There's so many benefits to shopping local. Break down some of those for folks at home watching, thinking, I might have to do some Christmas shopping, some holiday shopping Friday, Saturday. But there's more to it than just pumping money into our local economy.
Yes, for sure. Small Business Saturday is about encouraging shoppers to support their locally owned businesses, because the longer we keep our dollars circulating in our communities, the more we can benefit from it. So those dollars go back into wages, purchasing local. We see an increase in charitable giving when those dollars are here. And of course, to improve our neighborhoods.
Yeah. There's something to be said about supporting local too, because I try for the past couple of years to do like Christmas gifts that were all local businesses, just because you can't find it anywhere else. And I think that's kind of also the unique thing about supporting local is you're not going to go find this at a big box store when you go buy a candle from a local candle maker or a pen from a local pen maker. You know what I mean?
Yes. And we make it so easy to do because we have a directory. So if you go to shoplocalaz.com and you type in what you're looking for, and we're not just talking about retail, that's services too, your lawn care, your hair, your spas, things like that, right? You go in there.
I think of like the local candle shop where I'm going to go buy a gift. That's a great.
Yes. Yeah. And you can get really creative. We also have blogs on there. Right now, we just published a blog, shopping by personality.
Oh, I like that.
Yes. That's
that's really fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What are some of, you probably don't want to mention them, but we have so many great stores here in Arizona. Do you have one that you're always like drawn to or you're going to a lot?
Yes. So I love that question because I feel like people they don't know how to shop local.
Yeah.
So in addition to that directory or your farmer's market, right, where a lot of these businesses got started, there's so many places where there's a collective of locally owned businesses. So when I need jewelry, for example, instead of going to the mall, I'll go to a more collective.
Yeah.
And that's a collection of locally owned, Latina-owned businesses all under one roof. Or Archwood Exchange, right? That's with the Black-owned businesses. And then we have retail therapy. So we've got collectives of retail businesses, and it's unique things, homemade. A lot of these are makers, right? That, like you said earlier, you're not going to find anywhere else.
Yeah.
I think there's a misconception that maybe you'll be spending more on gifts because you're not getting it off like the Amazon, but you can.
You got to think about quality.
But
though.
Number one, quality. Number two, again, supporting that small and local. But you can find really great deals.
Also, the connection to space, right? To place. The big box retailers. They don't have a face with the name of their business, right? And the quality of service that you're going to get as well. You're going to tell everybody what an amazing experience you had when you shop local.
So we kind of talked about shopping. Let's say that there's some business owners that are watching here this morning and are like, I could maybe tap into some of these resources. How do they find you? How do they get those resources that we're talking about?
Yes, please go to localfirstaz.com and sign up. to be a member. You can also join us at all the events that we have, so you can subscribe to our newsletters. There's so many great resources, and plus we're awesome people.
You
so
are
come
awesome
join us.
people. I agree.
Yeah, it's great to mingle and talk to other small business owners and get some tips.
And bounce ideas off of each other,
you can't do it all alone.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
awesome.
Well, Sophia?
So Thanksgiving, what happens Saturday then? Stores are opening early. I've covered this before on Saturday mornings. You guys have big signs out there. You're ready to go.
Yeah. After Small Business Saturday is usually the Saturday after Thanksgiving. So welcome arms. Waiting for the community to come and shop and support locally owned businesses. You'll see a lot of deals out there, lots of gift cards too, if you can't really think of a present.
Yeah. Perfect.
Thank you.
Sophia,
Appreciate
it was
it.
nice to meet you.
We'll
Thank
put
you
all
for
that
having
up.
me.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Small Saturday shopping. Small business shopping.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh.
Thanks, Sophia.
One more peek outside because it's so beautiful today. It's
It is.
actually a little warm. It's definitely warmed
We're
up.
going to see those temperatures in the upper 70s today and for your Thanksgiving. So if you've got friends, family coming into town, they're in for a treat
Take
here
them
in
for a
Arizona.
hike.
Take them for a hike.
Burn some calories before you eat all that
Before
turkey.
you add all those calories, right?
One last very special guest.
We have Tara here. Good morning, Tara.
Hi.
Good morning.
Get nice and close to the mic for us.
Okay.
There we go. There we go.
Tara, say
Introduce
your last
yourself.
name for
Yeah.
us.
My name is Tara Ghafouri.
Okay. And you are a very, very smart teen. How old are you?
I'm 16 years old.
Oh my gosh. And you've already written children's books.
Yes.
Give us a little bit of
Yes.
background about this children's book because it's no ordinary children's book.
Yes. So this book is called What's in Your Lunchbox? And it's just detailing the story of first grade Rana, who is starting school, and she brings her Iranian food to lunch and she gets made fun of for it. So it's a story about cultural acceptance, and it just teaches kids to approach situations with curiosity instead of criticism, and just to embrace who you are.
Yeah, for sure.
So I grew up Polish, 100%. And the same thing when you say what's in your lunchbox, the things that my mom and grandma and aunt packed for me were different than
Than
some
what the other kids.
They were. And so I completely get it because, I got made fun of a lot for speaking a different language and being different. And that's difficult. And it's difficult to explain to other kids when you're 10 years old or 12 years old why you're different, even though you're not really different. So how did you come up with the concept, the idea for this book?
Yes, so a similar thing happened to me when I was growing up. Oftentimes, when I'd bring my Iranian food to school, kids would kind of make fun of me for it, make comments because it looked different or it smelled different. But to me, it was just my normal food. It was the food that I liked, especially in my heritage. Like Persian food is a big part of our culture, and it's something that I've always been very proud of. But anyways, like later I was doing research on prejudicial bullying, and I realized a good way to combat this issue and to prevent kids from jumping to these conclusions is just to expose students and younger kids to cultural acceptance at a young age, because that is what ultimately will lead our future generations to have more open minds and more compassion.
I know. That's what I said. She's a very smart teen.
Yeah,
I think oftentimes people make fun of others or they bully others and they're mean to others because maybe they don't understand.
That's huge.
And when you can explain to them or maybe even say, hey, do you want to try what's in my lunchbox? Then they start to understand and it's not so different. They like it too.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Let's talk.
sure.
We're showing a beautiful.
How
You did
cute
the
is that?
illustrations too, Tara.
Yes, I did do the illustrations.
Wow.
She's beyond talented,
Yeah.
isn't she? That is so cool. Talk us through the process because I wouldn't even know where to begin to write a book and then start the publishing, all of that. So how did you even begin this process?
So
You obviously had the story idea.
Yes, I started with the idea of the story. I wrote the transcript of the book at first. And then I just did the illustrations on the app Procreate on my iPad. It was a pretty simple process. I started writing the book in my freshman year. And then since I was so busy with my extracurriculars in school, I ended up finishing it this summer. And to publish the book, I just self-published it on Amazon. That was also a pretty simple process as well. But yeah, so I did it all myself, used Google Docs, like it wasn't anything crazy.
So are you thinking maybe a second, third book? Maybe there's going to be a series with different cultures and different backgrounds. And I don't know, maybe talk to your friends about what's in their lunchbox.
Yeah, potentially. That would be a very good idea. Since
I just finished this book. This is all that I'm really thinking about right now.
Yeah.
Especially since the protagonist is Iranian. I was able to draw from my own experiences. Sure. But yeah, I would totally be open to writing more books. But also something I wanted to mention is that all of the proceeds of this book do go to the Arizona Persian Cultural Center, which is a local community center for Iranians. So that's also just a nice touch. Cool. I wanted to give back to the community a bit.
We have a comment that says that there's another book out there called Carla's Sandwich. She used to read it to her daughter when she was young, and she was even teased about bringing regular food, even if what was there, what they were having for lunch. So I think a lot of people relate. Is what our viewers are saying. A lot of people relate to what happened to you.
Yes, thank you.
You mentioned that you self-published it. It's on Amazon, so folks can go buy it right now. What has been the response? Have you been able to kind of get any feedback from some of your readers?
Yes. So I have done some readings at the Persian Cultural Center, and it was just very inspiring and very fulfilling to be able to talk to the young Iranians that are similar to me. And I had this one little girl, and she was talking to me about how she wanted to become a writer. And it made me very happy.
Yeah, inspiring people. What do you want to be when you grow up?
I was just going to ask that. I was like, at 16 years old, you're so accomplished, you're so well spoken. Yeah, what's next for you?
Honestly, I don't really know what I want to be like for a career. Maybe I'll be a writer. I don't know.
You've got your foot in the door and you're doing very well already.
Thank you. But I definitely will be going to university and college, but I haven't really started the college process yet.
Do you know where you want to go?
Yeah,
have you looked at anything?
Not yet. I don't really have a dream school or anything.
Well, then be open to everything.
Yeah.
And right now you go to the Phoenix Day School, correct?
Yes. And
what is kind of your classmates and teachers saying about you publishing your own book at such a young age?
Honestly, I haven't really told that many people about it. But
everybody knows.
Yeah. My friends have been very supportive. They've been very proud of me, which is always a good thing to hear. My friends have all tried Iranian food. They love it.
Yeah. Well, and I grew up with one of my best friends was Korean. And same thing, remember the first time I walked into her house, you could smell the garlic cooking. And it was a very strong smell of garlic. But then you learn. I learned about Korean food, and I learned about, the different types of heritages. And I grew up in the Chicago area, so I feel really blessed to have that. We have about 30 seconds. Tell us one more time how people can find your book. How can they buy it?
So if you just go on Amazon and search up What's in Your Lunchbox, it should appear. Or if you just put in my name, but that might be more difficult.
I pulled it up one more time so people can see it. So that's what it looks like.
Really
so if you're looking for Amazon, this might be a great Christmas present for people out there. Well, Tara, thank you so much for coming in. It was so nice to meet you. And congratulations on the success you have so far. I can only see big things for you in the future, for sure.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you.
All right, Ron and Syleste are coming in next. You guys stay with us. Fox 10 Talks continues.
It's 11:30, and guess what? You know, Celeste, I was just thinking back to when we did 30 minutes back in the day.
Yeah,
and people would be like, go an hour.
Yes.
We need more.
And
right?
then we went
Brandy
an hour.
the bookworm.
Yes,
Linda
Monter.
Monter. A lot of it.
And then, Ron?
Yes.
After we went an hour.
Yes.
Then
we had to go too.
Yep.
So welcome back. It's Ron and Celeste. I am so excited for this interview that we have coming up here in about 3 minutes. One of the most unique astronauts in the history of spaceflight is going to be joining us here in just a couple more minutes.
Wow.
So please stay with us for that. I just can't wait. But for now, Zoo Light starts tonight, Celeste. We're starting back down here on Earth.
Yes.
Okay? And so, hold on.
But I bet you could see those lights from space.
Yes, I'm sure you're right about that. I thought that was going to be Zoo Lights that I was just calling up there. Anyway. It starts tonight. And so more than 4 million lights are set up across the zoo lands. And they run every night through January 16th, starting at 5:30.
Yes.
The cost is $35 or $30 if you're a zoo member. Cruise Zoo Lights, which lets visitors drive through the zoo, will take place on Sunday, January 18th. Are they only going to do it that one night?
No, well, I believe so. They have one for sensory.
Sensory.
They have one for drive-through.
Yeah.
And then I think they're open to walk around the rest of the time.
Okay. Well, so anyway, it's great that they're doing it again there. And, of course, I think you get a discount if you're a member. So let's just see, Celeste. Let's talk the other story before we get to our special 11:30 guest here.
Yes.
Is, let's see if this video works. Yes, it does.
Woo-hoo.
Kilauea.
Yes.
It has one of the more spectacular eruptions that I ever remember seeing, and I believe this is the 37th one.
Wow.
And so once again, it's active in the USGS. I've never been to the Big Island of Hawaii, but I think it would be cool to go. And I'm sure they have like some sort of a viewing area where you can see it. But, you know, I looked at that video and I thought, man, that looks like kind of like an Old Faithful.
It really does.
Type of a situation. And so, this is from the USGS, and it ended, we're told, after about 9 hours of a lava fountain. Have you ever been up to Yellowstone to see Old Faithful?
I have not, Ron.
Yeah.
That is on my bucket list. I would love to do the RV trip through that part of the country. Don't you think that'd be great?
Oh, yes. Yes, for sure. We've rented an RV once or twice, and it's really a cool way to go.
Yeah, because you can get you don't want to get like too close to the bison, but you can get up near that. You can get real close to some of these animals up there too.
And they have a massive parking lot, so you don't have to. I mean, it goes off about once every hour and 10 minutes, I think, something along. And they post the times. They're like, okay, the next one will be at.
Oh.
And that's why they call it Old Faithful, because they have a really good idea. Bella, are we good to go on our interview? 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
You know, Ron, I think it's interesting when you consider the Hawaiian Islands, where we have this volcano erupting right now.
Yeah.
The islands are volcanic ash.
Yes.
That's how they were created.
I know. It's amazing.
So I wonder if this is part of how is this creating new real estate that could eventually be purchased in 100 years?
Yes.
You know?
Probably.
Because you do hear that the area in around the San Francisco Peaks, which was a volcano many moons ago.
Good reminder.
You have areas around the country where you have these volcanoes that have erupted, and this lava land is rich soil.
So should you have an escape plan if you're up on top of the San Francisco Peaks and you start to feel it rumbling? What would you do, Celeste, in that situation?
You just run.
You just run back down toward Flagstaff.
Just run and scream.
Right.
It's erupting.
It's fine. She's going to blow.
Run. I actually took our daughters on the hike into the middle of the volcano.
Okay.
And it's quite the hike. I think it's like 7 miles.
Oh.
But I told them, I only initially thought it was 2 or 3.
Uh-oh.
You should have heard the tears.
Oh, I can imagine. Which normally you can't hear tears.
I'm surprised.
But in this case, you could probably
hear the cries.
Yeah.
I'm surprised those cries didn't erupt the mountain, didn't erupt, the San Francisco peak.
Yeah, that's
My
for
goodness.
sure. Okay, I'm looking at Isabella. Give me a thumbs up, Bella, if Chris is ready to go. I'm so... Here, let's just go right to it here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Chris Hadfield. I'm a groupie. I'll just say it. I've been 40 years in the news business, Chris, but I'm a pretty big fan. Thanks for joining us today.
You said something complimentary. Hi, how are you?
Oh,
yeah,
very
sure.
nice.
For sure. Okay, so for people who are not familiar, I think you became a kind of a sensation on YouTube. We do not have the rights to the music, but I can show the video because how did the idea first come to you that I'm going to be up in outer space? I'm going to be on the ISS. Look at this, Celeste, recording in session.
Very cool.
And
oh, wow.
I saw a comment after it got posted on YouTube where somebody had said, Chris, I want to make sure I get their comment exactly right. But one person said, this gives me chills. There just is not a better way to perform this song. And somebody else said, this might be the single best video humans have ever produced. Now,
wow.
Those are some compliments. How'd you get the idea and how did you put it together?
Well, I've always been a musician and I've fronted bands for 40 years or so. And there's a guitar permanently up on the space station just for psychological support of the people that have been living there for the last 25 years. And if you were a musician and you knew there was a guitar in a place you were going, you'd want to play it while you were there. And then I recorded and wrote an album when I was supposed to be asleep up there. And when people started hearing that I was writing and recording in my spare time while commanding the International Space Station, there was just sort of an internet clamor to cover a sort of a classic space song. And so we got permission from David Bowie, and I made an audio version with some friends who did the instrumentals on the ground, and then made that video version that you're showing clips from. And it's been seen hundreds of millions of times all around the world. And I think it helps people sort of get an intuitive sense of what spaceflight actually feels like.
Yeah, no kidding. Look at that Earth right behind you in this shot. It's just stunning.
Our interview will wrap up with you in a little while, and our streaming show will wrap up at noon here, Phoenix time. I just recommend everybody go to YouTube and watch it. It really will give you chills in terms of either putting it together or watching it afterwards. Did it convey the message you wanted to convey?
Imagine if you had spent 40 years working on a project, and then you spent, at the end of that time, 6 months living off the Earth. And then you came back down through the atmosphere, surrounded by flame, and rolled to a stop on the Earth, and then sort of emerged out shakily on your feet. What would you do with that lifetime of experience? How would you choose to share it? And so that's why I've done a National Geographic series, and why I've written 6 books, and why I work with all sorts of space companies and help run a space incubator. And it's also why I wrote space music and did a cover of a David Bowie tune. I think the experience of space flight is so new and so different, and also so perspective building, that I'm just doing my best to share it every way I think that I can.
I think you just came up with a new genre, space music.
Yeah.
It's
a very elite group of men and women who can only participate.
Highly intelligent. I'm guessing I'm going to see that on Spotify sometime in the near future. But what are your thoughts on kind of looking forward? Are there other songs you hope produce as well in space?
Well, I mean, there's a lot more going on in space than producing songs.
That is also true.
I commanded the International Space Station after 3 space flights, and we're running 200 experiments up there, and it's been a peaceful, very visible, exploration focus for a quarter of a century, where anybody in the world could look up and watch that beacon of light go across the sky. It's the brightest thing in the sky after the sun and then the moon. So it's an amazing human accomplishment, and it kind of flies in the face of a lot of division that always goes on here on the surface.
Oh, so
and I
true.
think we need to understand it and extend it and share it the absolute best we can. And I'm sure that guitar is still up on the space station.
Oh,
so the crew that's
wow.
up there, whoever's a guitar player, I'm sure that, they're playing it for birthdays and holidays. But everywhere humans have ever gone, we brought our music with you. Crews of exploration, ships have, hornpipes and sea shanties, and that's just human nature. And that's not going to stop just as we're now starting to permanently leave Earth.
Okay.
True.
Now, Chris, we're up against a break. I want to talk about your book. Actually, it's a whole series of books. People who maybe followed you online might not even be aware of this genre that you have created. Do you have a couple extra minutes you can stick with us through the break?
I'd be delighted, sure.
Okay, that's
Wonderful.
great. By the way, Chris is, I guess now we could call you a retired astronaut, right? Have you had your final time up in space?
Yes, I served, I was in the military. I was a combat fighter pilot and test pilot, and then with the government for 35 years. But now I'm a private citizen. I'm doing an awful lot of other space-related things. But yes, I am no longer an active astronaut with the space agency.
Okay, so as a retiree, he's back home in Canada. By the way, I love Canada. I grew up near a town called Penticton, if you've heard of that, over in BC, and a little town called Osoyoos. My uncle had an apple orchard on Lake Osoyoos.
And Ron and his wife, they honeymooned in Canada, the great country of Canada.
Anyway, we love that we're going to get a few extra minutes with you. I'm going to pop the book up right now hold on. No, I need I need the other book cover. Hold on. Oh, this is funny because we just had Bella, can you check on that? We need the updated book cover. That was last hour's guest. Anyway, we are hanging out with the one and only Chris Hadfield. And wait till you hear about the book and the whole series of books. I can't wait to get my first Audible version.
Oh, yes.
But it's all coming up after the break. Thanks. And this is, there it is right there. We'll find out all about it from the man he's a true Renaissance man. We'll be right back in 2 minutes. Hey, by the way, Mystery Cam, where do you think this is? And we welcome you back. We are live with astronaut Chris Hadfield.
Yes.
And Chris, we do a thing. We have cameras all over at least over North America. And we just ask people to guess where they think that particular camera was. Last hour was in Alberta.
It was.
Yes.
And it was snowy.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And beautiful.
Man. It was.
And where do you think this location is?
Oh, you wanted Chris to guess?
Yeah, Chris.
Okay. This could be a Canadian location, but it could also be somewhere in this big old USA. I don't know. You can see that picture, right, Chris? Any guesses?
Yeah, so it's a reasonable sized divided highway on some sort of big parking garage. And looking in the background, gosh, it could be a lot of places, but low hills on the horizon. I'd be guessing. I'll stick with North America, but I don't know where.
Okay. Well, that's a good guess. He's going with the part of the world.
Yes.
North America.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much a guarantee. Although we do have cameras in Europe too. We've shown those. Okay. So Darla says Colorado. Louis is in Oklahoma.
We've got an Alabama from Darla Nicole 93. Texas says Little Philosophy, and Colorado is Darla Nicole's final guess.
By the way, Chris, one of the things that makes our show so unique on YouTube is we actually put the comments up live on the air. So I'll just remind our audience right now that are watching from all over North America, if you have a question for Chris and his time and space or anything else, you can ask it and we will pass it along. A rare chance for you to talk to somebody who has commanded the ISS.
This is a live show. We've got Bella bringing over the answer sheet here.
Okay,
it's like Star Search when they're like, I have the envelope.
I'm going to go somewhere on the East Coast. I think I'm going to go Virginia. Celeste, how about you?
Wow, Ron.
Yeah, I know.
I'm going to go Massachusetts.
Okay, here we go. Virginia, Massachusetts. It is Virginia.
That's why I said.
Well, I have this map stuck in my brain, Celeste, as you well know. So here it is one more time.
What in this photo tells you it's Virginia?
The hills. There's something about those hills as you look off. If you go to D.C., and you drive out where my Aunt Nancy used to live down in the Shenandoah Valley, it's way prettier than you think it's going to, just to go into the Shenandoah Valley.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Chris, did you spend much time, I know that you are, well known there in Canada. Did you spend much time either with NASA in its Houston operations or even in Washington during your time?
So I was a test pilot with the U.S. Air Force in California, and then I was a test pilot with the U.S. Navy in Maryland, so not too far from the Virginia picture you showed. And then I was in Houston for 21 years serving with NASA as an astronaut. So yeah, and I have a place in Tampa. So yeah, spent about 30 years or so.
Did you ever get to spend much time in Arizona? This is mostly a Phoenix-based audience.
I've visited many times. I never lived there, but I've been up Grand Canyon and been to the city many times. I flew jets in and out of the various airports there, and I was at the Fiesta Bowl there for one of the great celebrations as well.
Oh, that's so
wonderful.
Great.
We do have a great state.
Yeah.
Beautiful weather most of the time of the year.
I don't know about you, Celeste, but I love a murder mystery.
Yes.
And I'm currently listening to some Sherlock Holmes. There's a whole genre of Sherlock Holmes that Arthur Conan Doyle never wrote. But all the authors since then have kind of imagined what he might write about Sherlock Holmes. But anyway, if you love a good murder mystery, you just happen upon the best show on YouTube right now. How did you get into this, Chris?
I've always loved murder mysteries also, Ron. I just find when I'm reading a book, I want to be captivated and transported. I want to forget where I am. I want to forget what time of day it is. And so I've written 3 nonfiction books, but I thought it would be really fun and interesting to write fiction thrillers that have a space theme to them. And the first one's called The Apollo Murders, and it's in 15 languages and has done great, been optioned for TV and movies all around the world. And then I wrote a second one called The Defector, and then my newest one that you have up on the screen there is called Final Orbit, and it's been a #1 bestseller multiple weeks, so it's doing great, and it's a real rip snorter of a story. I think you're going to like it. And you mentioned you like the audio version. Ray Porter, who I think is one of the best audiobook readers, he kept texting me while he was doing the narration of Final Orbit, going, "This is so cool," and man, I love this part. He really brings the books to life. So yeah, it's a fun book, and I'm just now starting into writing the 4th book in the series.
Okay, so give us the lay of the land here. Give us the back cover sell on what this one is all about.
Sure. The height of conflict between the United States and the Soviet Union, the fall of the Nixon presidency, and all of the illegality and all the mess that Watergate caused, the end of the Vietnam War, the rise of women's rights, the bombings that were going across the U.S. in the 70s, all of that going on, and then also the rise of the Chinese space program that was happening in the 70s. And meanwhile, overhead, there was an abandoned space station called Skylab, and there was an attempted docking between the Soviets and the Americans to show that there could be something peaceful called Apollo-Soyuz. All of that was happening at the same time in the summer that I set Final Orbit. And so it gave me a lot of room to take my characters through a really fun and action-filled, suspenseful plot. And I think you're going to like the story.
We can sense your excitement about the plot.
Yeah, I'm hooked.
Is that where you get some of your inspiration? Is it from real life, or is it, part of it imagination as well?
Well, about, I would say 95% of the stuff that happens in Final Orbit is real. Real things that happen, real characters, in fact. And then I have some characters that have been in all 3 of my thrillers. And they then weave their plot in amongst reality. And I'm the only fiction author in the world, thriller fiction author in the world, who's commanded a spaceship and flown us along on a flight crew on a space shuttle and been the pilot of a Soyuz. And I was NASA's director of operations in Russia and lived there for about 5 years. And so I've got a real deep personal experience with all of that. So that gives me I don't have to phone people or look things up to write a lot of it. And then I also, because I know everybody who's flown in space, I can directly talk to Gene Kranz, who's Houston, we got a problem. He's the one who said solve the Apollo 13 problems, or to Bob Crippen, who did the very first flight of the shuttle. So I talk to those guys regularly just to make sure that I'm getting all my facts right.
Oh,
and
my goodness.
That layer of reality, you just can't tell what's real and what isn't, which for me is the mark of a really good fiction book.
Oh, for sure. Living down here in Scottsdale, passed away a few years back, but we loved him. Clive Cussler lived here, and he was such an interesting guy to talk to because he just came out with book after book after book. And I would like to find out, though, Chris, Syleste here, she someday's going to get her PhD. She already has her master's. She's a mom of 3 busy, active kids who are involved in sports every day. She's taught classes at the college level. We have 2 major universities here, GC, Grand Canyon University and ASU. I can't believe she puts everything into her. Oh, and by the way, does a morning TV show and a streaming show on YouTube. You're like this, though. The stuff that you get done kind of amazes me. Walk us through the logistics of when you sit down, how the idea first comes to you for a book like this, and do you just purposely carve out 2 hours in the morning when you're writing, and do you let the book kind of direct you for a lot of the details, or do you know from the minute you sit down pretty much how it's going to go?
Yeah, you not only have to set aside the time to write, but you've got to clear the other stuff out of your mind. You've got to free up your chance to be creative. And so I when it's a writing year, because I write a book every 2 years or so, I really control my schedule so that I have free time from when I wake up until after lunch on as many days as I can possibly do that. And then I choose sort of a big story arc of where I think there's enough room to build a really interesting, twisted plot. And then over several months, I research it. And every time I come across a cool thing, I send that note to myself and I sort of build this repertoire of stuff that might happen. And then on a writing day, I get up, to the alarm, I eat a little bit, exercise, I do the 2 or 3 things you got to do every morning. There's something busy, you got to put out that little brush fire. But then I just sit down in a place with no distractions, looking at, trees in a forest and start writing. And I write I use the same laptop I'm talking to you on, and I back at it all the time, and I try and give myself a goal, about 1,000 words if I can do it in a day. And a typical novel like Final Orbit is 100,000 words, so that's 100 successful writing days. And so, given that, I can, and then of course you got all the editing, and you got to work with your editors and publishing team and all that. But that's the routine I follow, and I keep the big picture in my mind. But as you said, I set up the scenario, but then I turn my characters loose, and then they just do what they would do. And it's something they often surprise me. I'm going, well, of course, this is what Kaz would do at this. This, I know who he is. This is what he would do. This is what Svetlana would do right now. And sometimes it takes me where I wasn't expecting, which is really delightful. And I've got to keep sort of herding them along so that it gets somewhere near the ending that I was hoping the book would get to. But it's a really fun, creative process, creating a thriller fiction novel. And I take great pride in the result. But what the most fun thing is when strangers come up to me on the street and they say, oh, I love what Kaz got up to in the book. I can't wait to hear, hey, when are you going to write your next one? I want to hear what Kaz and Svetlana are up to next. Where they become real for those other people as well, just as real as they are in my head. It's an amazing way to share sort of original artistic thought and creativity. And I love writing these books.
Give us a little personal glimpse into your life, if you don't mind. One of the things all three of us share in common is we all have 3 kids. Celeste, you have 3. I have 3. Yeah. Chris and his wife, they have 3. Are you doing Thanksgiving? Are you spending some holiday time together?
Well, let me see if this will show you. I got to get the camera to catch up. My new granddaughter. Let the camera do the
Oh, my goodness. She's beautiful.
That's Wren. She's
Congratulations.
And my daughter's a professor over at Trinity in Dublin. So Wren's a little Irish girl. And then one of my kids, we have 3 kids, you're right. They're all around 40 now. One he's moved to China 20 years ago, and he married a lady from there. And so my 10-year-old granddaughter lives in China. And then my 3rd son and his wife, they have a documentary series on YouTube called A Rare Earth. And they travel the world all the time. And they're kind of based in Japan. And so I have one in China, one in Japan, and one in Dublin. So we'll get together for Christmas. Thanksgiving's too hard, but we'll be together at Christmas time, which is really great.
It's like the United Nations at Chris's house for the holidays. I love it. It's so wonderful.
This has been the most amazing half hour. Hey, if you're ever in Phoenix, come see us. We'd love to have you be a guest again. Chris Hadfield.
Thanks. I do cooperative projects with ASU all the time.
Oh, wonderful.
In and out of the valley there, so I'd love to. And lovely to speak with you both and have you on. And I hope if you can take time away from all those things, Celeste, you get a chance to listen to Final Orbit over the holidays. You're going to love it.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Bye, everybody.
Same to you. Bye-bye.